Okay? We're recording this for the at-home viewer. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Have your attention, please. All quiet, please. Thank you. Have your notes out, ready to go. We're going to be going back into the notes of the situation in the early United States of America as it faces various different challenges and can't quite keep it together without a do-over. And the do-over is going to be referred to as the United States Constitution. A new document for the United States of America. The 13 states of this country that beat Britain, woohoo! But then started beating up on each other. All right? And it didn't work out very well. But, thankfully, the founding fathers of our country came together and created the United States Constitution, which is a good thing. It's not perfect, and we're going to get into some of the details today, and we're going to get into a lot more details next year in U.S. government, 10th grade class. Okay? The United States Constitution's got a lot of good things going for it. Now, as to whether or not you will do the same thing, we'll see. Because after we finish the remaining video portion, about 10 minutes or so video leading right up to the Constitutional Convention, okay, Philadelphia, 1787, we're going to go into the mock Constitutional Convention. And each of you guys is going to be representing a state. And actually, since we have everyone here, let me just double check to see if you guys are very aware of who you are and what you're doing here. North Carolina, raise your hands if you're a delegate from North Carolina. Good, you're here. Hannah, this is where you raise your hand, okay? Okay. All right, so you two, obviously, and it's kind of the same configuration. The only thing that was slightly different, raise your hand if you're from Maryland. Good. So you guys, when it comes to voting on behalf of Maryland, then it will be like, you know, either 3-0, 2-1. We'll get a decision out of you guys. Pennsylvania, we got 3. Most of it is still the 2. And New Hampshire, raise your hand.
Wait, am I Delaware or Pennsylvania?
You're going to be Pennsylvania in this situation. Okay? So just pay attention. New Hampshire, that's going to be just you. Okay? So you're going to decide on that one. And just, in fact, write this down. Go ahead, write this down right now. Because we're going to be, this is going to be one of the important things. And it's going to be, as we go through the Constitutional Convention, and this is also going to apply as far as the ratification of the Constitution that happens in real life. It just takes 9. For the Declaration of Independence, how many of the 13 colonies needed to agree? All 13, yeah. They decided that no state could say no. And how many of you guys said no? I don't know. There was probably about 3 or 4 states, you naysayers, you. Anyway, it was okay. And we'll see if it happens here. But as we go through, we're going to reenact some of the different challenges that took place in the Constitutional Convention. Some of you guys have been given some tips, some things that you're going to be reading aloud, and all of you guys are going to be writing it down diligently to make sure that you have that in your notes. Okay? But we'll go through that as we proceed. What's going to be happening as we continue on for the remainder of the year? We're going to continue on looking at the challenges in the United States of America. We'll look at different things happening with Canada. We're going to look at Latin America. We're going to have a quiz. Ooh, a quiz. Next week. Some of you guys were thinking it was on Friday. It's not on Friday. It's next week. So the next time I see you, or the first time I see you next week, I'll have the quiz. Vinny, what's the quiz on? Is it? How many questions? Do you have a study guide for it? Good. Okay. So, and if you want to prepare, always a good idea, just go ahead and write down a couple sentences for each of the different items, and you can turn that in and be guaranteed at least, well, you'll get the 2 points there. Okay? And I have made that available, even if you ace it. Good for you. Okay? And then I've even got on the board there already 60 points for the final. And Bella, what do you suppose the final is going to cover? You think so? Would you like to cover most of the semester? Okay? No? What do you think it's going to cover? And I think I've actually told you guys.
You have.
Yeah. Yeah, this unit. Yeah, this unit. There'll be a 60-point test on this unit. Okay? Is there a way to pick up some points related to the last test, the last unit?
Yes.
Yes, and that's the retake. It's an essay. It's essays. There's 2 essays. You can do one or both. Okay. Up to 4 points for one, up to 8 points for the 2, having to do with the events and so forth associated with the American Revolution for the one, and then the Latin American revolutions for the other. So you can submit to that. You can print it out for me. I'll even take it. I'll even check Google Classroom to see if you got it turned in that way or send it by email. But you want to get that done. If you can get that done by this Friday, then we'll have that knocked off. Okay? I don't think anyone's got that in yet. How many of you guys anticipate maybe going ahead and forth on considering maybe doing that, one or both? Okay? Not a bad way, especially if you're very cognizant of grades. Yeah. Because if you're just a little bit below the next highest grade you want to be at the end of the semester, if you're just a little bit below and you haven't done anything to bring it above, where is it going to be? Below or above? It'll be below. By the way, and we're actually going to cover this today, what is something, raise your hand if you can tell me, that will give you 5 extra credit points? Yes? Exactly. We the people, etc. And I'll have that. I believe that it is fair for, and some of you guys, it's been a while, you can come in here at lunch for the educational purpose of attaining 5 points, or after school. Okay, so you can stick around after class and do that anytime before the end of the semester. Does that sound good? Okay, so that's 5 points. That's a nice little cushion to have going into, because your final in here is on the Tuesday. So like the next day, you've got a half day, and then after that, you've got a half day, and then you're done. Woohoo! We're going to be in like summertime. Okay? Questions? Okay? All right. The situation is, in the Americas, things are going not so good. I purposely, oh, yeah, don't want to do that one. Yeah, no, that's not going to be the one. Yeah, that's a good one for there. Things are going badly. Daniel Shays. Oh, yeah, let's get this one. Daniel Shays is having a little bit of a rebellion. Does he succeed? No. Does he succeed and overthrow the United States of America? No, but he is actually causing all kinds of problems up there. Little bit of sympathy for Daniel Shays and some of his farmer friends, right? They are having difficulty with their finances. They haven't been paid necessarily for some of the work they've done fighting for their country. But they owe money to the banks, and the banks want them to pay the money. If you ran a bank, would you want the money to be paid back to you? Yeah. And if they didn't pay the money back to you, what would you do? If I'm a farmer. I borrowed money from you, the bank, and I'm not paying it back. You're going to rob me? You don't have to. You're legally entitled to foreclose on my farm. It's kind of like this. If your parents buy a house, or actually they take a loan out from the bank to buy a house, and they don't pay the mortgage payments on a monthly basis, do you think you can stay in that house forever and ever and ever? Uh-huh. You think so? You're just going to squat there? You and your, yeah, you're going to like fight the government. Well, here, as a mob, they're fighting the Massachusetts government, and it's nearly overthrowing the Massachusetts government. And so who's going to help put this down if the Massachusetts militia is not necessarily helping out and putting it down? George Washington is going to help. And that was where they decided, let's come together. We got a lot of things going on that are making this thing really, really bad. Because here's the deal. If you got chaos in one state and you got other states that may or may not come to each other's backs, is the world a safe place for little old United States to survive? Do you think the British might be coming again? Or the French? They used to be friends. Or the Spanish. Okay? The United States needs to do something about this. So let's watch the rest of the video, and then we'll get right into the Constitutional Convention issues. Okay? Here we go. Lights, please.
Are breaking out in all 13 states. The debtors are by far the majority. The popularly elected legislatures pass laws which, in effect, cancel all debt, trampling on the property rights of the creditors.
The bankers.
I was as strong a believer in popular government as any man in America. But it was rapidly becoming the last kind of government I should choose. I even prefer a limited monarchy at this time. What are the whims of one man and the ignorance and passions of the mob?
Whoa, that's anti-democratic.
Shays' rebellion shakes people's belief in popular government. There is now a rumor circulating through the states that Nathaniel Gorham, president of the Continental Congress, has approached Prince Henry of Prussia. Our free institutions of government have failed, he is quoted as saying. Will you please come
F.
to America and be our
Nathaniel
king?
Gorham.
Prince Henry is said to have reminded Gorham that Americans did not get along very well with their last king, and to have curtly declined the offer.
We don't need a king. But we need something.
May 1787. Philadelphia, America's largest city, is abuzz with excitement. The most celebrated leaders from the states are coming to town. Shays' rebellion has convinced them that something...
That's you guys.
And it will happen here in Philadelphia. The delegates are coming to a city which rivals some of the great centers of culture and power in Europe. The streets are paved, and some are even lit at night. The artist Charles Wilson Peale offers the public a natural history museum, displaying wonders such as mammoth bones and stuffed golden pheasants. He also spends the next few months painting this portrait of the most celebrated American of the day. Washington has
I'll be playing the role of George Washington, by the way,
his prestige to this convention.
with my fake wooden teeth. I don't have to be. It's not as important. He wasn't there.
Delegates come expecting to revise the Articles of Confederation, the loose agreement among the states.
You've got that in your notes.
Their union. But a small group is convinced that the Articles will have to be completely scrapped. One of them is James Madison, a shy, scholarly Virginian, whose voice is so faint that at meetings he is constantly being told to speak up.
Madison was
5'1".
about 5'1". He had a high, squeaky voice.
Who's 5'1"? How tall are you?
James Madison.
How tall are you?
He was the antithesis
5'8".
of bold and strong government-building hero. He was
tall are you?
extraordinarily erudite.
How tall are you?
Very much an
5'3".
intellectual. And
He's shorter than you.
he had read political philosophy, old and new.
The big problem will be the degree of authority which the federal government will have over the states. In the ancient governments, even where there wasn't some strong central authority, there was always some controlling power. And everyone knows what happened to the Amphictyons.
That's right.
The same thing happened to the Achaean League.
He knows his history.
Authority.
I think every age has some major issue that people understand as a kind of an agenda for that generation, a major problem that is to be resolved. In the 18th century, clearly, it was the problem of government. How could you design a government, a new government, a government that didn't have kings, didn't have hereditary rule, that could function, that could be stable? Republics of the past have been significantly short-lived, characteristically short-lived. The great republics were gone. What had happened to Rome? What about the English Commonwealth? What had happened to Greece?
Never before had people deliberated and deliberately created a new country. And this, I think, gave them a tremendous sense of excitement, but also awe and responsibility. I mean, they felt, they used the term, we have the responsibility of millions yet unborn.
That's where you met.
Troop into the Pennsylvania State House. They seat themselves informally at green baize-covered tables, 3 or 4 to a table. And then, silence.
Silence.
The first vote of the convention is to keep their proceedings absolutely secret.
Ooh. Make sure you have that. I think we talked about that already. They closed the door.
That if they were accountable to the public for everything they said and did, that nobody would say or do anything. So Philadelphians didn't know a lot about what was going on. They knew this group was meeting there, but there's remarkably little in Philadelphia newspapers about what was going on.
open secrecy. They did not leak during this hot summer.
Over the next months, rumors spread like a thick undergrowth. George Washington's dour expression as he leaves the convention hall one day prompts a report that the delegates are in disarray. Some people on the outside are convinced that the delegates are up to no good. Virginia's former governor, Patrick Henry, for one, smells a rat.
He smells a rat. That's on your test, by the way. I smell a rat.
On July 3rd, the thermometer tops 90 degrees with a drenching humidity that exhausts the delegates.
That's hard.
Cover the windows and keep out the sun and noise from the streets.
Just like in
They
1776.
let in the flies.
Yeah.
In between meetings, the delegates do what they can to find relief. They have their portraits made by an apparatus which produces an exact silhouette. of a person's
What does your face look like? Your
50
profile?
years before the invention of photography, these are actual images of Madison,
Cool.
Franklin, and Washington.
All right.
Shadows captured from another era. Reporters trying to figure out what the delegates are doing have to contend with shadows as well, for the total news blackout continues. They know that something serious is going on behind the closed doors. 2 of the 3 delegates from New York State have gone home in protest. After almost 4 months of exhausting debates, the delegates emerged with a plan to completely scrap the Articles of Confederation. They have written a blueprint for a new nation.
This convention created a constitution of
Is that where I want to stop at?
new government. Very, very different.
30. 35.
Because it was a national government in its own right, with its own president, its own Senate and House of Representatives, its own court system.
Oh my gosh, I think we're going too far. We don't want to get that yet. No, we don't want to get that yet at all. No, we got to get to you guys. Here we go. The Constitutional Convention, 1787. Bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. Okay? Are you ready? So you can write this down. Oh, here we go. Without getting into too much detail. In 1787, the delegates that went to Philadelphia from all of the 13 states, you guys, drafted a constitution, a new governing document. The proposal was to get rid of the Articles of Confederation. Write that down. To get rid of the Articles of Confederation. Now, initially, the goal was to revise the Articles of Confederation. But even if you just revise the Articles of Confederation, you still need to get it ratified. That's a key word, ratification. The Constitution that came out of that meeting in 1787, that's just the beginning. You got to go back to the 13 states. Each individual state is going to debate whether or not they want the Constitution. And here's the key number. How many states need to agree before it goes into effect? 9. Now, it's a little bit of a trick here. I don't get too far ahead of ourselves, but some of you guys might think that you're just that much more important to the future of the United States of America, that even if there were 9 states, if you weren't one of them, the United States isn't going anywhere. Raise your hand on behalf of your state that you represent if you think you're one of those so all-important states that's just got to be part of the team. What state are you from? Virginia. Go ahead and write that down. What would your argument be that why Virginia is so gosh darn important that Virginia just has to be part of it? Yeah, they're the most well-established and the biggest population. Okay? As it turns out, was Virginia among the first 9? No. That's a very important point. It's going to be on the test as well. Virginia was not part of the first 9. So even after you had 9, people are still like, well, let's see what's going to happen in Virginia to see if this is really going to get going. there's some other states that arguably, I mean, we have the biggest population state, the oldest state and so forth there. Any other states that want to like make an argument that maybe they're so special and they're so big and they're so important that you just got to have that state? Otherwise, forget about it. Pennsylvania, do you think that you're pretty important?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're one of the top ones. As it turns out, you're going to be among the first 9. Okay? We'll actually identify, and you're going to go ahead, and I've got a slide up here that's going to show bing, 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 bing. So I heard Pennsylvania. Okay, I heard somebody over here say a state, but I didn't hear anybody from that state raise their hand. Who's us? What's so special about New York? Pretty cool. Is it a very important trading? It is. It's very important trading. And eventually, New York, for a while, it will have, in our country's history, the largest population. And it still has a lot of the trade and finance going into it. Okay, I think it's actually now the 3rd largest population. It used to be number 1 once upon a time. California still is number 1. I want to say Texas is number 2 in the country right now. New York is a little bit less important. So New York, you can write this down. New York is not going to be among the first 9. Okay, so people will be waiting on New York and Virginia. Nobody else has raised their hand? Georgia, you think Georgia is pretty darn important in those days? It was a little bit smaller back in those days. Yeah, it's a pretty big state now. Guess which state? We'll go ahead and just do this one right now. Guess which state was the last? And in fact, I think they'd even already gone ahead and like done the whole presidential election and gotten everything set up to go. And they're like, oh, wait for me, wait for me. They were the last state to ratify the Constitution, and the other states were like, well, if you want to be your own thing, you can be Luxembourg. You can just be a little teeny tiny country that, you know, no one's that concerned about and so forth. Okay? What state do you think that is?
I'm going to give 2 guesses.
2 guesses.
Okay. Either Delaware or Rhode Island.
Delaware, Rhode Island. Why do you pick on those guys?
Because they're tiny and weak and no one cares.
Oh! Oh, it hurts. Oh, it hurts. Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Delaware? Where's Delaware? Delaware's. Hold your hands up so we can see you there. Delaware. You know what, Delaware? You can put this down. Delaware's going to be the first.
Why does Delaware?
Because Delaware doesn't want to miss the bus. They're going to be the first one on the bus. Delaware is the first state. Delaware is the first state. So what's the last state? Rhode Island, yeah. Rhode Island. It's okay. You're like, hey, we're cool. We're Rhode Island. You know, we could go on the bus or not go on the bus. We're going to be cool either way. Right? Anyway, so there you go. So 4 months, write this down. 4 months you're going to be in there. That is true. Okay? And there's going to be a stronger national government ultimately. Okay? Lots of checks and balances. We'll talk about some of those as we go forward. And a lot of those we're going to get to next year. And there'll be a number of... Oh, I don't want to get too far off into it. Let's just sort of see how it works out. Before we get into the details of what's going to be in the Constitution, let's just see how it works out here. Last time we gathered together in a mock situation, you guys had one issue to resolve. Independence. That was it. Okay? Now we're going to have some nuances. We'll see how this plays out. I will play the role. You can write this down. I'm going to play the role of George Washington. Write this down. George Washington agreed to be, in fact, you want to keep your notes open, because as we go through this Constitutional Convention, there's going to be times where you're going to have to specifically write some things down in your notes. Okay? So pay attention to the debate and discussion and so forth, and then we'll have votes on these various different proposals. There will be at least, I'm anticipating, at least 4 different proposals that you will be voting on. Okay? And you'll want to know what those proposals are. Okay? But I'm George Washington, and I'm the one that kind of brings it all together, right? Easily the most popular, most credible, most respected person in the country. And did George Washington want a stronger national government? Yeah. To keep the United States together? He absolutely did. So he's in favor of this, and he oversees it. Again, this is all behind closed doors. Who took careful notes on everything that's going on? Go ahead, write his name down. 5'1", the 4th President of the United States, sometimes referred to as the father of the Constitution, James Madison from Virginia. James Madison from Virginia. Constitutional Convention. Yeah, right up here. Constitutional Convention. That's ultimately what we call it in history. Again, the original goal was, let's revise the Articles of Confederation. So you could call it the revision of the Articles of Confederation gathering in Philadelphia and the hot, hot, humid sun, blah. In 1787, exactly. And again, a lot of you guys were there previously. If you did your research on your person, you would have, because we asked the question. In fact, actually, I'm curious. The people who you were represented, because you're representing your state for the Constitutional Convention. How many of you guys were also at the Constitutional Convention and the Second Continental Congress that did the Declaration of Independence? You doubled up. Remember that? Remember that question? Do you remember that? I want to say, Sherman, you were there at both. Anybody else remember that they were there? Benjamin Franklin, you were there. Okay. What about John Adams and Thomas Jefferson? Neither of them there. They're both serving as ambassadors. John Adams to Britain and Thomas Jefferson over to France. But they ultimately are going to support what's going on. Okay? And George Washington, that was the first time he was there, because at the Second Continental Congress, where was he? He wasn't there. He was off fighting. Yeah, he was off, fighting the British over near Boston and so forth. Okay? Or they're losing in Long Island, but staying alive. So here's George Washington, starting the proceedings. Okay? There is going to be somebody that is going to be making a presentation, so you're going to be writing down this proposal very, very first off. And one person who I'm looking at right now is going to read with clarity, in a moment, with clarity, a plan. And you're going to write it down very clearly in your notes what this plan is. And then he will, and we'll give you an opportunity. Ultimately, it's kind of like before. You guys have the ability to vote how you want. Just because the people way back when got it right doesn't mean you have to get it right. You can do what you want. Okay? But try, if you can. Here's one piece of advice for you. You ready? Try to vote, otherwise you might look like it doesn't make sense. Try to vote as though you are from a big state, a small state. Some of you guys are middle states, and so it's kind of like it could go either way. Okay? And if the issue has to do with slavery, try to vote in a way that makes sense relative to what your state's position is as far as slavery. Raise your hand if you're from a state that has a lot of slaves. Right here. Okay? Raise your hands if you're from a state that has little or no slaves. Right here. Okay? So that's going to come up potentially later on. Actually, it will come up. It'll be in your notes. We'll definitely make sure we do that. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so we'll go through kind of like we did before. All right, ready? Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. We are gathered here in Philadelphia for the convention, which ultimately will be known as the Constitutional Convention. I hope you guys all have good living quarters here in Philadelphia. We will start off, the chair recognizes the state of Virginia for a proposal. Virginia, write this down. Virginia, what is your Virginia plan that you are proposing to this convention? Keep going.
The plan proposes a very powerful bicameral legislature with the powers to collect taxes.
I'll go over this again, don't worry.
Create a national military. Both houses of the legislature would be determined proportionately. The lower house would be elected by the people, and the upper house would be elected by the lower house. The executive would exist solely to ensure the will of the legislature was carried out, and would therefore be selected by the legislators. The Virginia plan also created a national institution.
Is that what I wrote? Is it? I wonder if I changed mine. That's what I wrote down here. Oh yeah, I've got it different than what I had here. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to read the new one. Yeah, I think I gave you an older version. All right, no, that's cool. That's right. All right, I'm going to read aloud a slightly different, but not, no, that's fine. That's good. Okay? Here we go. This is what you need to have in your notes relative to the Virginia plan, and then we'll open it up for debate, and we'll see how that goes, and then ultimately have a vote on the Virginia plan, where each state will get a vote, and how many states need to be in agreement for the plan to pass? 9. That's 9 is the critical number. Okay, so here we go. Make sure you have this in your Virginia plan notes. New Constitution, get rid of Articles of Confederation. All right, so that's just a name thing, really. But, you know, could be important. Strong national government. Okay. Power to collect taxes so that the national government actually has money to spend. Actually, I think my apologies because I think on this one and then some of the other ones I printed off maybe the wrong one. This is a little bit more elaborate, so you guys need to have this in your notes. The power to borrow money. Okay? So the national government has the official ability to go to banks and other sources to borrow money, which it didn't have before. To regulate trade. Write that down. That's part of the Virginia plan. To regulate trade, particularly trade going between the states as well as with other countries. Create a national military. Okay, national navy, national army. Okay? Next part, the national government will have 3 branches. Executive, legislative, judicial. Okay, so you got that? Whereas the previous one didn't have a judicial or an executive, it was just a legislative branch. So now it's going to have all 3. Okay, now pay very careful attention to this part of the Virginia plan. Okay, so you're going to get taxes and stuff, and it's going to be for the whole country. Okay, the legislative branch, 2 parts, 2 houses, bicameral, 2 houses. One elected by the people from the states and so forth, and then the other elected by the original house that is chosen by the people. Does that make sense? Okay, so that would be like an indirect situation. Got that? One elected by the people, the other elected by the people who elect the people, or elected by the people. Still doesn't make sense? Okay, so the first house, let's say you guys are elected by the people, you're in the first house, and so then you decide, oh, we're going to pick them, they get to be in the other part. Okay, does that make sense? So they get their jobs from you. You get your jobs from the people. Okay? And this is critical. Each state gets a number of representatives in either of those 2 legislative bodies, the one directly elected, the one indirectly elected, based on the state's population. Yeah, exactly. You figured that one out right away. Okay? Each state is going to get representatives based on their state's population. Okay? Now, my goal, ultimately, as your instructor, is to make sure that everyone understands all the critical nuances of this Virginia proposal. All right? The Virginia proposal has been made. Is there a second on the Virginia proposal? The Virginia proposal has been seconded by Delaware. You're very nice, Delaware, to do that, although it's very curious that Delaware would second the Virginia proposal. There may be some things that Delaware likes, hint, 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 but maybe some things that Delaware doesn't like, but Delaware gets along very well with Virginia, and so therefore we will enter into debate. Virginia, you have the opportunity now to give arguments, either of the Virginia delegates to give arguments why this is a good idea for the country. Okay, the chair recognizes Virginia delegates to speak. Why is it a good idea? Okay, because everything is not going very well. Okay, to put it in more eloquent English, everything is not going very well now for the United States of America. Okay, fair enough. Okay. The chair opens it up for debate. The chair recognizes Pennsylvania.
So I would say that this is a form of reaching that the smaller states are using to steal the power of great states like Pennsylvania, making us share power.
Order, order.
Is that?
The chair recognizes Pennsylvania to speak, and only Pennsylvania has the opportunity to speak now. Virginia, you are admonished.
Yeah, you should listen to him.
Pennsylvania, continue.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. So, yeah, so these smaller states like, Delaware and Rhode Island, they need us. They need the help of the national, they need the help of the nation and, the National Guard and like the military and things. States like Pennsylvania, we're fine. We don't need big government. We're fine on our own, and these smaller states can go deal with their own problems because they're not necessary for our sovereignty.
So I'm a little confused. Are you arguing in favor of a stronger national government or against it? You're against a stronger national government?
Yeah.
Okay. Debate continues. Thank you. Raise your hand first to be acknowledged. Delaware. Delaware may speak. How do you view the Virginia plan for a stronger national government?
I mean, I agree with them, but what he said doesn't make zero sense.
It's okay. Take the debate and take it on another direction. Go for it. Delaware.
I guess we all fought together, so you still benefited from us, even if you think about it useless. So, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Thank you, Delaware. Pennsylvania.
Wait, hold on. You called me incohesive, right? And then you said that
I didn't understand what you said.
It's okay. I wasn't quite clear on it either, but that's okay. We're going to run with it because a lot of things go on this. Debate, you may continue, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so I think you made the argument that because we fought with other states, then we should have a national government and a constitution.
Okay.
What did you say? Can you
The chair, the delegate will address questions to the chair. You are not the chair, so you may not ask questions directly of a delegate. You can propose a question to the chair, and the chair can decide whether or not to forward it on to the delegate.
Could I forward the question to the chair to ask a specific delegate why we should have a constitution?
Okay, thank you very much. You may be seated. The chair recognizes Delaware to answer the question, why should we have a constitution?
Why should we have the Constitution? Because it makes us more stronger, and I mean, we aren't that weak how you propose those things, so I mean, you still use hope so much.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. For clarification's sake, I'm going to pose a question to Elliot. You're also from Pennsylvania, and ultimately you're going to be voting on this Virginia plan. Question to you. How are things working in the United States of America under the Articles of Confederation to your view? Good or not so good?
We're only concerned about Pennsylvania here.
Oh, let me cut through this. So, Pennsylvania, to be clear, you wanted to join with all 12 of these other states in order to beat the British to gain your independence, but you care nothing about the states at this point in time in history? Pennsylvania? Waiting for the answer.
Okay, we beat the British without a constitution.
You did. Did you beat the British with the help of these other 12 states?
Okay, what's your say is willing to speak right now?
No. I want to get some other points of view here, just to get clarification on what is at stake here. Do you believe? I'll put it very bluntly here. Do you believe if the British decided that they wanted to reclaim Pennsylvania at the exclusion of all the other states and let them go, that you could defend yourself by yourself without the assistance of the other states?
I mean, sure, why not?
Sure. Okay, there we go. New York. Oh, no, Connecticut. You have the floor. No, not yet. No, my gosh, no, not yet. No. Oh, my gosh, that's coming way ahead. I'll ask Connecticut. Do you favor the Virginia proposal for a stronger constitution?
No, they stink.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go again.
This mess was made because you guys all chose to be independent, and we were like, no. Somehow we had to go and clean up all your dumb, stupid mess. No. So, no. You guys take care of your own little states, or whatever you would like to call it.
Okay, so, question for the Massachusetts delegation. Massachusetts delegation. Do you appreciate the independence of Massachusetts today? Do you acknowledge the contribution of the other states in getting that independence? Do you want to continue as an independent entity? Yes. Do you actually favor a stronger national government? Okay. All right, fair enough. Do you want that national government to have the military to be able to fight off other countries if they wanted to invade? Okay. Do you want that national government, make note of this because this is all part of the thing. Do you want the national government to have the ability to stop trade disputes between the states from breaking out into war between the states? Yes. Do you want the national government to be able to tax in order to pay for a military and to pay for things that it needs? And when it decides not to tax, to be able to borrow? Oh, okay, fair enough. All right. Delaware, do you agree with all those things? Do you want the nation to be stronger, to be able to stand on its own 2 feet with the contribution of all the 13 states? Now, I've got this question for you. Everyone, look very carefully. I point your attention to the last components of the Virginia plan. This is a little bit different. I'm trying to point this out because it hasn't popped up yet. Do you favor this part of the Virginia plan whereby Virginia would get, as the largest state, and the other large states would get more votes, more delegates in that new 2-part Congress, that new 2-part legislature, because they have, let's double check the notes here. Delaware, how many people do you have living in your state at this particular time? 59,000. How many does Virginia have? 821,000. So by that measure, perhaps something on the order of they would get 15 times as many votes in that new national legislature. Right now, how many votes does Delaware get? And how many votes does Virginia get? Do you like that part of the proposal?
I mean, as long as they agree to the benefit of everyone.
Do you trust Virginia to vote in such a way to look out for the interests of Delaware? Rhode Island, let me call on you. Rhode Island. Do you want a stronger national government? Do you trust neighboring Massachusetts with a much larger population to have more delegates to look out for your interests? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Chair recognizes New Jersey. Oh, okay, so you don't like that part of it. All the other parts you like? Okay, debate continues. North Carolina, your view. Keith, what do you think about the proposal from Virginia? Okay, and you're okay with all the component parts of it? Okay, fair enough. Connecticut.
I think that the plan is kind of I'm against it. About like, I think that just because people are bigger.
Order. Connecticut has the floor.
I think that just because one state is bigger than another, has more population, does not mean you get more votes. It's all the same amount. I'm just saying.
Okay, Virginia, you have the floor.
The vote is with the people. So if there's more people in one state, they're not state trying to vote because represent all the people.
Interesting. Virginia, to clarify, if the national government is going to be collecting taxes from the people, which state probably will contribute the most taxes to the national government? And so you're saying that therefore Virginia should have more say-so within that national government? Oh, Georgia, do you think that's such a good idea, that the states that have most of the taxes and most of the people should have more say-so in a national government?
So I think I disagree with that idea because if you think about states with smaller population, like for example Georgia, the lesser population is going to have more like countryside and people, not as many like populated cities. Are the opinions going to differ based on people who live out in the country or people who live in the city? And obviously the highly populated states will have a lot of people in cities. Their opinions are going to totally differ than people out of the country. So I think it's important to have an equal amount of votes in every state.
Oh, like the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further debate? No, there'll be some more. I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out at this particular time. Is there a motion for to close debate and have a vote? Is there a motion to vote? Is there a state that makes a motion to vote to conclude debate? The motion to vote is simply make a motion to vote. Go ahead. I'll show you how this is. Motion to vote has been made. Is there a second on the motion to vote? Second on the motion to vote has been made. Those in favor of having the vote at this time say aye. Those opposed to having the vote say nay. The ayes have it. We will go through the roll call vote on the Virginia plan. So discuss with your fellow delegates as to how your state will vote on the Virginia plan for a stronger national government with a new legislature that would have representatives based on the size of the population. Clarification question? We're going to do that. I think this, watch and see. Let's watch. Watch and see. Watch and see. See, what usually happens is there's not 9 votes in favor of the Virginia plan, so then we go to this, and that's in fact exactly what happened in history. So just watch and see, okay? With curious classmates, it's always hard to get a lot of votes in favor. Nope, this is just the Virginia plan. This is a big component of what will be in the Constitution. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be. All right. The chair is now going to go through the roll call of votes for the Virginia plan, the number necessary for the adoption of the Virginia plan being 9. The chair now calls on New Hampshire. New Hampshire says yay. Massachusetts. Massachusetts says yay. Rhode Island. Rhode Island says yay. Interesting. Small states. Okay. They trust Massachusetts and the other big states. Connecticut. Nay. Connecticut says nay. New York. New York says yay. New Jersey. New Jersey says nay. Pennsylvania.
Can you skip Pennsylvania for a second?
Pennsylvania abstains for the moment. Maryland. Maryland says yay. Okay. Delaware. Another small state curiously votes yay. Delaware says yay. Virginia. Virginia says yay. Oh my gosh. North Carolina. North Carolina says yay. South Carolina. South Carolina says nay. Okay, Georgia. Georgia says nay. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Second call for the vote. Pennsylvania.
What is the tally currently?
8 to 4.
Wait, so there's nothing I can change.
Oh wait, no. Here's something. Shh. Here's something to keep in mind. This is not unlike the situation that we had in the Second Continental Congress, which was up or down for independence. This is just a proposal. trust me on this one. If this proposal doesn't pass with a 9-state vote, then we go on to the next proposal, which is ready to go, and we'll see how that works. This is fascinating because I want to say this is the first time that we've had a yay on the Virginia plan from the 2 smallest states in the United States of America. But that's okay. We're about to see how Pennsylvania, the second, is it the second biggest state? I think it's the second biggest state. Third biggest state after Massachusetts. We might have to go into an alternative universe if this actually passes, so yes.
Can I set up a short reasoning for our answer?
Oh my gosh. Just say what your vote is.
No.
And what was the reason? What was the reason?
Pennsylvania has a lot of beliefs, and most of them do not line up with the Virginia plan.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Revisions of the Article of the Constitution.
Of Confederation.
Pennsylvania believes in more voting power for larger states. Pennsylvania believes in a national tax.
That's
Pennsylvania
what the
also
part of
believes
Virginia plan.
in an individual guarantee from all states to all states instead of a national military. Pennsylvania does not believe in U.S. interfering in trade between different states.
Well, at least.
Pennsylvania does not agree with contributing unnecessarily for the nation.
Okay. All right. Pennsylvania will be polled. The individual delegates. Eric, how do you vote on the Virginia plan?
How do I vote?
Yeah.
Nah.
Bobby, how do you vote on the Virginia plan? No. Or Robert, whatever. I've got it written down as Bobby. Elliot, how do you vote on the Virginia plan? It's already it's 2 votes is enough.
Wow. You really think it's
Spit it out. Spit it out. Come on. Chop, chop.
No.
Okay. All right. Now. All right. On a vote of 8 in favor, 5 opposed, the Virginia plan is defeated. Pause. Write this down. Write this down. The Virginia plan in the real Constitutional Convention was the first thing that came out proposed by Virginia, and most of the delegates were in favor of most of those provisions. The area that ran into some problem was the idea of having 2 legislative bodies based on the population of the states. As in, Virginia would get a lot more delegates. Of course, they argue that they're going to be paying more taxes and so forth, and so they should have more delegates. But the smaller states, make sure you write that down, the smaller states opposed the Virginia plan, unlike in our particular situation. I'm looking over at Rhode Island and so forth. Obviously, you guys liked key provisions of it to go, fine, let's do this. Virginia was smiling. But it was a big change to you guys having 1 vote equal to the 1 vote from all the big states. Nevertheless, the same result happened. It was defeated. Okay, you got that? Yeah, in the original Constitutional Convention, as in yours. I think it wasn't quite as close.
You're welcome.
Okay, it wasn't quite as close. And Pennsylvania, as I recall, favored the Virginia plan because they're a big state. So you get all these kinds of interesting aberrations. All right, back to the convention. The chair recognizes New Jersey for your proposal. Write this down, the New Jersey plan. Okay, and I will repeat it for everyone to make sure you get this written down as we consider it for this, okay? Because I've had it written up slightly different here for clarification. So it's similar to the Virginia plan in that you would have a stronger national government, although it would still go this would still be called the Articles of Confederation, so it's a revision, but it's a significant revision. The power to tax, the power to borrow, the power to regulate trade, national military. So those are similar things. So New Jersey liked that part of the Virginia plan. Okay, so stronger national government. Executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Okay, so those are similar there. Okay, here's a big difference. Okay, keep the one legislative body, the one Congress, and each state, regardless of its size, would get one vote. Got that? Okay, even though arguably some states would be paying more ultimately in taxes and their bigger states and so forth, every state would get one vote the way it's done right now. Okay, has everyone got that in your notes for the New Jersey plan? Question? I would say the biggest difference on that, besides just, what you call the document, a new constitution versus the Articles of Confederation, the biggest difference is, you ready? How many votes each state would get. Hint. Which states are probably going to like the New Jersey plan a lot more than the Virginia plan? The small states, because they're going to have kind of an outsized vote. But that's the way it's been. Every state gets to have one vote. Okay, we'll see how that, is that clear? Okay, we'll see how that goes with you guys in the debate. Okay, any other questions of clarification? All right, is there a second for the New Jersey plan? Is there a state that seconds the New Jersey plan? Second, as in second. Okay, here we go. Georgia seconds the New Jersey plan. New Jersey, could you offer forth, start us in debate? What are some reasons why the New Jersey plan should be favorably seen? Voted for? Yes. Okay, and why is that good? All the opinions matter of all of the states and all of the people within those states. Okay, what are some other reasons? Okay, so you got a national government to look over that. And is it this the way that you guys have related to each other already? One state gets one vote? Okay, all right, any other further debate? Okay, chair opens up for debate on the New Jersey plan. Anyone seeking an opinion? Virginia, chair calls on Virginia. Yes. Yes, it's in the national army. Okay. Chair recognizes Rhode Island. I think they already do. But that's an interesting question. The chair poses the question to Robert. Pennsylvania, there is some rumor going around that you guys think that you're better and that this is potentially going to cause some problems within the United States of America. Do you have anything to say on that? Okay. Oh, do you agree that Pennsylvania is better than all the other states? Okay, so let me just pose the question back to you in Rhode Island. If Pennsylvania believes that they're better than all the other states and that were put to a proposal, how many votes would Pennsylvania get on the proposition that they're better than everyone else? How many votes would be against that proposition? 12, yes. You guys can add. Okay, yes, go ahead. Yes. Who's more equal than others?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, but I think you've actually handled this in every state. And in fact, curiously enough, Delaware. I'm going to ask Blake. Delaware, do you like this New Jersey, another small state, New Jersey proposal? You're a small state. Do you want to keep it at one vote per state? Would that help the people? You guys are elected by the people of, representing the people of Delaware. Do you want to give away all of the authority that you have under the current system? Are you concerned that Pennsylvania, which has a much bigger population, is going to be a threat to you if you adopt this proposal? Okay. Okay. Georgia.
producing the free country, but London, of the 86, is the one person, not the one one legislative body for vote.
Okay. All right. Further Georgia debate?